Fellow tennis nerds, I'm here with Coach Adri, and we're very happy, both of us, that you really loved his one-handed backhand video that we did together. He had some great advice, so check that out if you haven't. If you play with a one-handed backhand, and if you have a two-handed backhand, we'll get to that at some point. But today we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the most important shot in tennis when it comes to winning matches, and that's the forehand. Adri has a great forehand. What would you say your forehand looks like? Like, which player would you say?
Good question. I don't like to compare myself so much with others.
I want to put you on the spot.
A little bit, and I'm a little bit...
It's kind of Roger-esque, you know, like it's a little bit Roger-esque.
But I've heard a lot of comments saying that it looks like Roger's.
Yeah, it does.
I wish to hit like Roger. I don't hit anywhere close to Roger. But a lot of people has told me that, which I'm like, wow, like thank you so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to have my feet.
You're a humble guy. We don't have to worry about your ego swelling up. So how did you work with your forehand, and how did you develop it?
Good question. As I was growing up, I had a coach that was very technical, French coach, and he really put a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of work onto my technique, both on forehand, on backhand. It's strange because my technique as a kid is nowhere near as what it is now. It's just developed, and also I watched a lot of videos. I remember I was doing a lot of shadows growing up, and kind of like shadows of what I wanted to look like, but not really imagining myself like copying a player, but just kind of like what mentally I thought that a forehand could look like, how it looked better, how it could play better, using a little bit of biomechanical logic and common sense, like hitting the ball in front with an open racket face, but if I start with a closed racket face, I can get more of a whip to contact in front. All those things really helped me to have the forehand that I have today. I believe it is my best shot, although I think my backhand is more stable than my forehand, although I feel my forehand is quite stable too. But I can hit more winners of my forehand. I think pretty much everyone can, although backhands are usually a shot that's more stable, more solid, go cross-court to cross-court, maybe a little bit more
less risk you take with the backhand.
Yeah, exactly. And the forehand, you can kind of up the pace, slow down the pace, lift it up, bring it down, flatter, attack, hit the winners, and all that kind of stuff. And I've just always really enjoyed kind of hitting a good-looking shot, and maybe that comes from the Roger side of things. I always liked Roger, although I didn't really try to copy him. But just he plays very beautifully, and I kind of also wanted to hit beautifully as he did. Not necessarily like him, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. And we'll get into some elements of the forehand, that whether you want to hit like Roger or you want to hit like Rafa, you want to hit like Carlitos. All right, so Coach Adri, the forehand, like what steps does it consist of? And like where do we start with the forehand? It's like a stroke that, you know, everybody knows kind of how to hit, but then there are a million different biomechanical parts that we can break down, of course, and you can easily overthink this, but it's good to understand the fundamentals of a good forehand.
Yes, absolutely. So I believe that any forehand or any shot in tennis, the strings needs to be facing the direction you want to hit to on contact point. Now, how we get to that contact point is what's going to make us either hit a good shot or a bad shot, or at least repeat the same shot over and over again, being very consistent. So I'll put it this way. If I have a backswing that looks like this, and I contact here, maybe I can do it once if I have a lot of time, but it's very hard to repeat the same swing over and over and over again, identical. However, the more simple backswing I have and swing towards the ball that I have, the more times I can repeat that identically. Okay, so people that have a very complicated backswing, I am sure that they're going to be more inconsistent than a person that has a very simplified and easy to do backswing and swing towards the ball. Second, of course, is the contact point. You want the contact point to be well in front of you, ideally with a straight arm, but that's a very complicated part because it depends a lot on how you hold the racket. If you have more of an Eastern to semi-Western grip, you can contact the ball with a completely straight arm and without falsing your wrist at all. My racket, you see, is totally flat, which is the strings are pointing in the direction that I want to hit the ball. However, the more Western your grip goes, the more you're going to need to bend your elbow on contact point. So you will see players hitting with a bent elbow, and I can probably guarantee you that 95%, 98%, 99% of those players, the more bent their elbow is on contact is because more Western grip they have. You can see like this. I have a straight arm, but I have a semi-Western towards Eastern grip. But if I go like this and I don't fold, my strings is already looking downwards a little bit, so I need to bend my elbow a little bit, and now I've automatically changed my racket so it's looking straight. If I go even more down, even more Western, the strings are looking down, so I need to bend it more, so now it's looking straight, and so forth. Okay.
Yeah, and good examples, like if you have players with like pretty extreme Western grips, like Nick Kyrgios, Jack Sock, you can see that they're hitting the ball quite close to their body. But then you have like guys with different grips, slightly different grips, generally semi-Western to Eastern. Roger, Verdasco, Rafa, they hit with a straight arm, quite
Tsitsipas,
straight and quite
Alcaraz.
far in front of them, right?
Yeah.
So you can work with both different techniques, but it's a very well explained by you, like that the grip obviously makes the difference of where your contact point is.
Yeah, and don't let anyone tell you that you must hit with a straight arm, because let's say you've already been in the game for 10 years and you have a Western grip, and then you watch a video on YouTube or any forehand tutorial you may look at, and you have a Western grip, but then the video tells you to hit with a straight arm, you won't be able to hit it. Your ball is going to bounce on your own side of the court. Doesn't make sense. You need to be realistic. Then you either have to say, I'm going to change my grip to a more semi-Western or Eastern so that I can manage to hit with a straight arm, or accept the fact that you're going to keep your Western, because that's a huge change to go from Western to Eastern, or the other way around, but it's not so common, or not, I don't advise to go from a semi-Western Eastern to a fully Western or extreme Western. So don't let anyone fool you, yes? If you have a Western grip, just accept the fact that you're going to have more elbow bend, and then work your way that way, get closer to the body, bend that elbow. You're going to have to rip the ball more from down to up rather from back to forward. Now back to your initial question, Jonas. I kind of went off chain there. Forehand. So first thing you want to do is you want to prepare with your left arm. Okay, my right arm is not taking the racket back at all. I'm taking back with my left. Okay, why? Because then when I get into my position, my left arm is already on the side of my body, and when I let go, I'm finding this position, and I want to have this extension, because this obligates me to let the ball come on the outside of my hand and also my racket on the outside. If I don't have a left arm straight and I have it close to me, I can quickly hit the ball like this and too close to me. If you hit the ball very often too close to the body, which is a very common mistake, have a look at your left arm before contact. Okay, I can be sure that if you're contacting very often too close to you, is because your left arm is not straight. Because if your left arm is straight, it wouldn't make sense to hit the ball like this. You kind of feel obligated to go on the outside. Okay, so take the left arm, take the racket back with your left arm, and that's also going to make you shoulder turn, unit turn already. I don't take my racket back, I just unit turn, and that's already done. Boom, boom, and I'm already sideways. It's not like I'm twisting. Unit turn, boom, boom, and I'm in position. Next step, I let go of my racket, and when I let go of my racket, I bring my racket down. I like to have my strings facing the floor. I think that's maybe why a lot of people compare my forehand to Federer. I know that Federer does more or less the same thing. He takes the racket back with the left and then drops the racket face straight down towards the floor with a straight left arm. And what that allows you to do is to whip the lag, the whip. In different places you call it different things. I call it the lag or the whip. The wrist comes first, and that makes the tip of the racket kind of go back, and just by doing that I'm already opening my racket face. I contact it in front, and then as I contact it in front with a flat racket face, then I decide if I want to go more flat or I want to go more over the ball. In the last moment I can decide flatter, more topspin, and every time I'll finish around shoulder height. Okay, and one very important detail that not many people talk about, but I'm going to give you a very good tip on your forehand, is left arm straight, and you're going to see nearly every pro on contact, the left hand is above the contact point. If you do that, and you can go on Google and check out Alcaraz hitting point, forehand, you're going to see him be like this. Federer hitting point, he's not right here, he's about here. But if you see the line, the hand is higher than the contact point. Casper Ruud, everyone, Rafa Nadal, Sinner, Djokovic, absolutely everybody are in either here or here, but always above. If you are doing this, I can guarantee that you're going to be missing more down. Okay, action, reaction. If my action is down, my reaction will also go down. If I keep this one up, this one will want to follow up. At the end of the day, your two arms are connected. They want to follow each other. It's just how our body works. And biomechanically, it makes much more sense. And again, you can repeat the same swing over and over again.
Very well explained, Adri, and that's the kinetic chain. And important, I think, to mention is that, like the racket lag, where it starts with like the famous term of patting the dog. You want to pat the dog, like you put the racket face, the strings down towards the ground. You shouldn't really force that. They should come like quite natural. Like your muscles shouldn't be tense. If you look at Andrei Rublev, like when he hits, like it's quite important to have like using the body more than using the arms, and forcing with the arms, and that you explain well with like the racket take back and so on.
Yeah, and I do want to mention that what I kind of explain is what I do. Basically, because on the comments with the backhand, a lot of you wanted to listen about my forehand. But again, you don't need to pat the dog. It's my way to make sure that I lag, and it helps me with the lag. But a lot of players do the windshield wiper back way and then have a flat racket face, and then from here they go down and hit. That's perfectly fine too. However, you're going to get less lag, and with less lag, you have less acceleration, which then leads to less power, less pace, less kph on your ball, right? So the more lag, the more acceleration. Which a very good way to lag is having or petting the dog, the racket face looking downwards. But you can also hit the ball like this. You're perfectly fine doing that. A little bit more old school. You can maybe get a little bit more spin, but you get less acceleration, which then leads to less spin. So there's a very good sentence. There's not a wrong way, there's not a right way, but there's always a better way. I'll go through a step-by-step on the forehand, and I'm going to start with the most important, although there's not a right or wrong way, but there is a better way. So the grip. Many, many years ago, the Eastern grip was the way to go. And then tennis evolved to get more spin, more power, more acceleration, and then people started hitting more Western. Little by little, it was more and more Western. And now tennis is transitioning again to go more towards Eastern. I'm not saying to hit it fully Eastern, but semi-Western, I find it a really neutral grip. With a semi-Western grip, you can get the spin, you can get the flat, you can hit it in any height, which I think is really ideal because tennis, you're hitting a lot in defense positions on the court. Very often you're defending because your opponent wants to win the point of view. Think about it this way. You want to hit the ball the most comfortable as possible when you're defending. Because when you're attacking or when you're in a very normal area on the court, in the center of the court, you can kind of do whatever you want. You have the time. But when you're defending, that's when you're running, you're stressed. And then you want to hit the most comfortable shot possible from those positions.
I mean, that's an instinctual shot, so it's important that's in your muscle memory, right?
Exactly. And that is a semi-Western and neutral grip. How to find that grip? Very simple. Put the racket on the floor, palm right down on the racket, and grab. Boom. Forehand grip. Okay?
Yep.
Semi-Western.
And that's the most common grip, I would say, on tour these days, especially from the younger generation. I mean, obviously you have Roger with the Eastern to semi-Western, so you can actually be a little bit in between.
Yeah.
But the guys you're seeing overall on at least the ATP especially are playing like semi-Western. That would be, I say that today, the most popular grip.
Yeah, at the moment, yes. And especially generations coming up, because now there's so much information out there. Also, what's helping a lot is the kids using the correct color balls.
Yeah.
How Western really started to develop was the kids were playing with yellow balls. The ball is bouncing above their head. They need to hit it here. But if I have a neutral grip and I hit it here, my strings is facing up, right? So I need to bring it down, and then from up here, now my strings are facing flat.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why a lot of kids started doing Western. But now with the correct color balls, the ball is bouncing on the appropriate height for the age of the child, and then they have a much cleaner grip all along the way. So Western grip is the, semi-Western grip is the ideal way. Look at this, if I hit the ball in front, without faulting my wrist, I'm not twisting it this way or I'm not twisting it that way. I have it totally relaxed and my racket is flat. And I want to have a straight arm in front. If you're already playing tennis and you have a little bit more Western grip, then hold whatever grip you want. Have your wrist relaxed. Now my wrist is relaxed. You can see that it's facing a little bit downwards. So if I just bend my elbow, that's my contact point. If I have an extreme Western, my strings is facing down, I bend my elbow more, that will be my contact point. Okay, just so you know. First of all is the grip. Second of all is the first thing you do when the ball is coming towards you is unit turn. Notice I don't say take the racket back. Take the racket back very often leads to taking the racket back with your right arm. Also, you take it way too far back. You never want to take your racket back farther than your shoulders. Nor your wrist, nor the tip of the racket, never there. You want to keep it in front of you. Within your field of vision, you can always see your racket if you're looking straight forward. As soon as I'm here, I don't see my racket anymore. I lose sense of my racket. Although I know more or less where it is, but I don't know exactly where it is.
And the compact part also, as the longer you take your racket back, which you talked about, is like the risk is that your racket does something slightly funny and you're opening up for more errors because you have a longer swing, right? So,
exactly. If I lose field of vision on my racket, I don't see it anymore, and also it's so far back, I don't know if I'm repeating exactly the same movement time and time again. You want to repeat it, and if I have my racket in front of me, I know that I'm doing the exact same movement all the time. So, back again. Unit turn. I stand sided. First thing, split, unit turn. I move towards the ball. When I'm getting to the ball, I let go of my racket. Okay, if you want to prepare like this, patting the dog, or you want to go with your tip looking backwards, that's totally fine. When you want to accelerate, look at this. Pull with your left. If you pull with your left, you're going to already accelerate your right. Yes, if you only go like this, you only have one side of your body moving towards the ball. But if I pull this way, I'm already initiating the motion.
You're activating
for
the hip
other
a bit
way.
more.
You're going to get a lot more acceleration. You're going to up 20 kilometers per hour just by doing this little tip of extending your left and pull. If I only extend the left to here and I just do this, I don't have the same that if I do this. Okay, it's quite simple, not difficult to do. Repeat it often with someone feeding you, ball machine, whatever it takes. But really get this left hand and pull. Second is contact point. Contact with the racket flat. A lot of people say bring the strings looking down on contact. I don't agree. I don't know, if you see pros on slow motion, if they come from under, they contact, and then right after contact is when they go over. But contact point, I tell you, it's totally flat. The topspin comes from the racket pointing down, contact, and over. If you want it flat, it's from back, contact, and forward. Okay, but contact, the ball, if you go down, the ball's going to go down. If you go here, the ball's going to go straight. If you go, the ball's going to go up. The ball's going to go wherever the racket is pointing. A lot of coaches, a lot of videos will say, have the strings looking down, then you brush over the ball when you hit. I don't totally agree with that. It's not always wrong, and I'm going to explain why. The ball was going to go wherever the strings are facing. If the strings are facing straight, the ball's going to go straight. If they're facing up, the ball's going to go up. And if it's facing down, the ball's going to go down. What makes you hit the topspin is not by going over the ball. If you go over the ball's going to go straight down. It's what your tip of the racket or the frame of the racket is where before contact, then you can brush from behind the ball on contact and then continue over after contact. And that brush motion is what's going to make the ball to rotate. That's why the ball spins. The only time I agree that the racket face points down or is facing down on contact is think about geometry when you're hitting the ball on the rise. If the ball is bouncing and is going upwards, I need to find the angle of the string for the ball to then go straight. But if I'm hitting it on the rise, the ball is bouncing, and I have the racket open, it's going to go up, right?
It's like a pool
Think
table.
about it this way: if the ball's coming down, and I have a closed racket, I'm going to hit the frame, or if I'm on contact, the ball's going to go down. Then I might need to hit it either straight or a little bit open to cancel out. A little bit like geometry with the angles. That's the only time, yes, I do agree that the strings are looking down. I know a lot of you are going to think Adri is crazy, doesn't know what he's talking about. It works for me. I know that I hit a very clean shot. You can hear it on the impact. I hear it on the pro shots. I've seen them in person. And you can hear the contact when it's a clean, compact shot. So open racket face, even though you're Western, when you have a Western, what you can do, you're closer to the body and you can rip it more from under, but I'm telling you, the contact is pretty much straight, and immediately after contact, that's when it goes over. It's not there on impact. The ball's gonna go straight down. It's common sense, at least in my head. Maybe often you will hit the ball with a little bit racket face over the ball, but that's if your player does contacting the ball early.
Depends on the bounce, yeah.
And early, depends on the bounce. If the ball is bouncing way there and on impact is coming straight, you're gonna have an open racket face. If you're hitting the ball on the rise higher, maybe you're inside the court, you're above the net and you wanna hit it slightly downwards, then yes. But don't take it so literally that you have to hit the ball above. You're gonna be, first of all, framing the ball very often. Either you can frame this side of the frame or this side of the frame. You can frame either one. Second point is that your sweet spot reduces on your racket. And second is that the shot, you're going to hit it very thin. You're not going to have a clean impact. It's going to be very thin, and you're going to reduce the pace of your shots.
Makes sense, man. That's a good point. I think one thing that the people generally struggle with is, especially on like the rec level, is that the preparation, like the unit turn, they know in theory, but they're too late, right? So like the ball maybe has already passed the net and they're too late at preparing.
Yes.
Is that something you're seeing often, I guess, as a coach as well? And what can you do to remedy that? Is that something you just have to repeat to be earlier on time, or is there any tips and tricks?
I like the question. A super common mistake to prepare late. If you split step correctly, you're going to prepare correctly. It's very hard to judge the opponent's impact if you don't split step. If I'm just standing here, the opponent might impact and then I prepare. But the ball's coming fast, so between the impacts and I prepare, the ball's already traveled 10 meters. But if I split step on impact and I land and I prepare immediately, either if it's forehand or backhand, any shot, whatever it is, split step, prepare, and you're going to be much more on time.
So split step on your opponent's impact.
Split step on your opponent's impact. It can be a split second afterwards, but the more on impact
it's a good reference point actually to have, because
sure.
like I think people think, oh yeah, you need to be ready with your racket before the ball crosses the net. Like that's one of the famous things. But I think this makes actually more sense to say to people.
It's totally right, and that's a good exercise. Someone feeds you a ball, and then your goal is to prepare. Your goal is to prepare before the ball bounces on your side, and then as you get better at it, maybe prepare before the ball crosses the net. But that's the result of doing it well. But the root of the problem is split step prepare. If you do that, you're going to be preparing before the even ball passes the service line on the other opponent's court.
That's
the root of the problem. We shouldn't always focus on finding the result, although of course you want to get the result, but solve the root of the problem first and the result is automatic, and you're going to have even a better result, trust me.
True. So yeah, we touched upon the preparation, the unit turn, split step, contact point now,
yes.
But then we get to like follow through, like where you end up with your racket after you've hit the ball.
Follow through. Impact, I have a straight arm, but you can also have a little bit more bend. And on impact, you want to continue, okay? You want to think about it this way. Let's say you're standing on a white canvas on the floor, okay? And you have a paintbrush on the tip of the racket. Make the largest circle you can after impact. You hit and make the largest circle you can. I hit the ball, my God.
We have a lot of noises today. We can move a little bit further up now.
I hit the ball with a straight arm, so I hit the ball with my straight arm and I continue with my arm straight. It's straight, 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 straight. Now my joint does not let me go any further. That's when I bend. Very common, I see impact, close.
Yep.
Impact, close. But impact and look
And
how
it
much
feels more
follow
like
through.
natural, like flowy when you do, like you
Yes.
described. Like when you see pros hit the ball well, that's what happens. You know, they flow.
Yeah, and they get that extra depth for free. Makes common sense. If I hit it here and I finish immediately, the ball's going to travel, but it's going to travel much shorter comparing to if I hit it and then follow through longer, I'm going to penetrate the ball. Okay, and that's in every sport. In golf is the same. I contact the ball and I don't finish immediately. I contact and I extend my arms. Okay, in boxing also, you don't want to just tap the guy. You want to tap and go through him. No,
Want to hit through him.
Cut
It's true.
that
It's
part.
true. It's true. No, we're
But,
not cutting that. That's true. Like it's letting your body do the kinetic chain movement to its fullest, right? Like
Yes.
you're not breaking the chain. We talk about kinetic chain, and when you stop a motion from like continuing, you're breaking the chain, and then you're losing power, right? So
Yes.
that's the point.
And you might not think of it, but if I hit and I break, but in order for me to break, I need to be stopping a little bit before, or at least braking a little bit before. You know, like if you're driving in traffic and you stop the car, you start braking until the car stops.
Yep.
So it's the same thing, like a 100-meter sprinters. They sprint past the finish line and then they start to stop. But if they already start to stop before the finish line, that means that they're going to be slower. They're not getting all the way. So contact and go all the way through. You're going to get the maximum potential of your shot, whether it's depth, power, pace, whatever it is. Also, so important to hit and finish the shot all the way. I'm not going to tell you you must finish here or here or here. It doesn't really matter. As long as your left arm has come up, your racket will follow up because of the action-reaction. And it can be around your shoulder, a little bit above your shoulder. It can be behind your head like Daniil. Doesn't really matter. Just don't stop. If you stop your swing halfway, the ball will very often stop halfway. If you finish your swing all the way, the ball will travel all the way. Okay, so that's another good metaphor slash phrase that you can keep in your head. The more spin, the more you hit in, okay, and hit all the way so the ball can travel all the way.
Okay, so now we're gonna go into footwork. We've talked about the kinetic chain, the importance of letting your rackets be loose, preparing with the unit turn, and flowing through, letting your racket stop in an unnatural way. But for most people, I think the footwork is a huge struggle. Maybe not the sexiest topic, but the one that's going to make you win more matches in general, I think.
Yes. Up until now, we've talked a lot about the waist up, what your body does, what your arm does, both your right arm, your left arm. Again, so important. Include your left arm, okay, on every shot. Your forehand, your backhand. We talked about this on the previous video on the one-handed backhand. The same with the two-hander. If you guys want the video, we'll get that done also.
Yeah, we need 400,000 likes. That's usually what Mr. Beast says, but we can't say that here on this channel.
But all the upper body stuff is great, but if you don't move towards the ball, you will not hit the ball. Okay, so the first thing that's moving is the feet. And then once you get there, then is the upper body. The upper body is super important, of course, it's what's hitting the ball, but what's gonna make you get to the ball in the first place is your legs. I can't stress this enough. The legs is the most important part of tennis. Every tennis player in the top 100 has totally different technique. Some of them are similar, some of them are more, Daniil is very different, other players are more similar, but everyone has their own technique. However, footwork, everyone has basically the same. And that's very interesting, how everyone can have a different upper body, so a lot of styles work, but pretty much everybody has the same lower body movement, okay, the footwork. So every single tennis player on the tour, even amateurs, juniors, everyone, they do, or we do, a split step on impact. I jump before my opponent's impact and I land on his impact, or at least practice to try to land on his impact. If you land a split second later, that's fine, but the later you are, the worse of a split step you've done, okay? So try to really practice on landing your split step, landing the split step, not jumping on his impact. You want to land on his impact. As soon as I land, then I see what direction the ball is coming, and then as soon as I see if it's going, in this case, to my forehand, I know I prepare and I start to move. Okay, the earlier you move, the more time you'll have to get there. I'm going to put down, this is something you guys can do in your basement, in your garage, in your garden, on a court. I'm going to put up 3 balls. Shout out to Andrei Kuznetsov, he's the one that taught me this. When you're hitting a shot on ball number 1, after my split step, my first foot is the right and then left. Okay, these are all the balls in the center of the court. Split, right, left. Okay, split, right, left. If it's a little bit closer, my right does not need to go so wide. I can go right, left. That's number 1. If the ball is coming to number 2, the first step is the left. Okay, split, left, right, if I wanted open stance, or I finish with the left one if I have good enough time to hit a close stance. I'll do it smoother and all the way. Split, left, right, left. Okay, notice how as soon as I split, the first thing I do is unit turn and the correct foot is moving first. Split, left, right, left. Or open stance. Split, left, right. Okay, and then I hit. Number 3, okay, again, left is the fastest way to move. Split, left, right, left, right. If I have good enough time, I might want to go close stance. Quite often, normally on the furthest one, you're always hitting in open stance, but sometimes maybe the ball is very wide, but it's a very slow shot, maybe you can go close stance, okay? Very important, you can practice it, and then you can do in any combination you want. You can go number 1, number 2, and then you return, and then you go to number 3. Or you can go 1 one time, 2 two times, and 3 3 times. Or 1 1 1, you can do it multiple times. Super important. There you have both the open stance and the close stance. Notice how every time you want to do close stance is 1 extra step. Takes a little bit extra time, so only close stance you do when you have that little bit extra time. Nowadays, at least on pro level, the ball is coming and going so fast that you only have time to hit only open stance. They're hitting open stance the majority of the time, but yes, that when they have a good position or a little bit slower, they can go more close or maybe even semi-open, which is more and more modern. Another important part is the recovery. If you don't recover good enough after your shot, you're going to be in a worse position to do your split step and be in the right spot for your next shot. Okay, notice this. Number 1, all I'm doing is 1 step to get to the ball, and then I'm closing. Okay, but I'm doing 1 step. Okay, I consider this as 1 because split and I'm already in line. Okay, and when I hit, all I'm doing is 1 step to split. Ball number 2, I'm going to get there in 2 steps. 1 2, I hit, watch this, 1 2, split. I take 2 steps to get there and 2 steps back. I'm just as fast to hit than to come back. And I can repeat this, 1 2, split, 1 2, hit, 1 2, split, 1 2, hit, 1 2, split. Okay, great exercise. Ball number 3 is going to take me 4 steps. Okay, notice it's going to take me 4 steps to get there and 4 steps to get back. Split, 1 2 3 4, hit, 1 2 3 4, split, 1 2 3 4, hit, 1 2 3 4, split. Okay, super important, very organized. Watch Sinner's footwork. He is pitch perfect. Okay, he gets to every ball, whether he's hitting the ball from the center or he's hitting a ball way out here, he looks just as comfortable because he's getting to the ball so early, he's so stable, and he has such a good footwork that allows him to hit so stable in any position on the court. The drill that I just showed you is with the open stance, but we can do exactly the same closed stance. However, closed stance, we always add one step. So on this one, I mean, this one is closed stance, but on this one, instead of 2, it's going to be 3. But the recovery, we still make it in 2. And that one, instead of 4, is going to be 5, but we're still going to make it back in 4. Okay? So split, 1, 2, 3. I hit, I pass the leg. 1, 2, split. 1, 2, 3. Hit. 1, 2, split. And the same for the last one. Split. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Split. Okay? Also, wide base on your split. Keep a wide base. When you have, think about a Range Rover, compare it to a Lamborghini. Lamborghini, the center of gravity is much lower. Okay, the Range Rovers are wide also, but that extra wide tire on the Lamborghini, how low it is just really quick and agile on the corners. They're much quicker to react. While a tall Range Rover in the corner, you're gonna feel it tilting side to side. Okay, they're a pretty good car nowadays too, but you get my point.
Yeah.
So get wide, and not only wide, get low. I mean, we all watched Sinner Alcaraz, or Alcaraz Sinner on Sunday, final of Roland Garros, and he's just there. Sinner is so low. He's a tall guy, and he is so low, so stable, and he's just moving so well to be such a tall guy. And he's low, wide split step, and he's just so fast off the first step. And when he's hitting, he's not hitting and falling over. He's so wide that he can hit, and then he's just agile. He's just reacting. He's just recovering all the time. He's all the time moving, reacting, because he's low. It just makes it so much easier for him.
Yeah, and he's always in balance, and that's what you get with the low wide base. It's like he has partly more time because he's a fast mover, and the reason he's never really missing is that he's always in balance. Like, he's in balance, and he will be in balance in every shot. So you really need to find some extra special Carlitos way to outfox him, because he's always in balance. Like one of the best players in that sense, I would say, like, especially a tall guy. Like, it's like you can see the slalom influence, you know, in his footwork, right?
Absolutely. No, it's really incredible to see. And the last part I want to talk about is the semi-open stance. Okay, I think it's a more modern way of hitting the ball, and I find it to be the most explosive shot. On the semi-open, what it allows you is to spin on your axis. Okay, Casper Ruud does this really well on his forehand. Look at some Casper Ruud forehand slow motion videos. You're actually going to see his right foot end up forward and the left foot back, kind of like an X. Okay, so he's gonna go like this, and he's spinning on the axis. And when you spin on the axis, you get just so much speed, right? When you're on one leg, okay, it's fast, you get a lot of weight around, but you're spinning over one side of the body and the rest is spinning around. But when you're spinning on one axis, it's really powerful, it's really fast. Look at Fonseca. Fonseca also semi-open. He's even bending his knees and he's jumping in the air and doing the scissor, I call it. When you're getting on semi-open and then you're kind of jumping, you're getting that ground force from your right leg. You're jumping up, you land on the left and then the right. It will look something like this. Okay, really allows you to impulse yourself, explode into the ball. The ball is coming, especially when it gets a little bit more height. You can find the ball, position yourself in semi-open stance and get into the ball. And that's really fun way of hitting, really powerful way of hitting, but also very advanced way of hitting. I would say that you should try to do some shadows without the ball if you want to give it a go. You can try this at home, but it's very difficult. I wouldn't show up to a match and try. Then you'll probably hit the back fence and say it's ADRI'S fault. I don't want to hear that. Practice it, do some shadows, do some basket, feed yourself the ball. Okay, really powerful, especially when the ball is around shoulder height, maybe a little bit high above, because you're going to jump up to it, so you will end up shoulder height.
Awesome, Coach Adri. Thanks a lot for this brilliant lesson. I think there's a lot to take away from this, and we're obviously reading the comments. And if you have more videos you want to see in the future, Adri is going to be traveling a little bit with ATP Pro, so he has an exciting few months ahead. But when he's back and when we're together, we can try to record some more videos, because I know you like his instruction, as do I.
And please let me know if you want any other shots.
Yeah,
it's
we
been
do double
so
handers.
fun for me to hang out with Mr. Tennis Nerd here, and for me to explain my point of view of these shots. It doesn't need to be the way, but I like explaining my way, and if you want to hear more of my way, please let me know.
Yes.
Whether it's the volley, the smash, the serve,
yeah, we have a lot
tweener,
of stuff to get to.
Drop shot,
The tweener,
whatever it is, just please let me know. It's really fun for us. It makes us hang out more too, so thanks to you guys. We were finishing our session and I said, you know what, Jonas? The viewers are going to resonate with one detail that I didn't talk about, and I don't want to let you guys without that little detail. When I did explain about the left arm, okay, the unit turn and pulling the left arm is going to help you keeping, okay, the axis turn, the body turn on the axis. How many of you have hit a ball and do this and open the chest way wide? Okay, either you hit the ball very late because you open a racket, you open the body and you hit it very late, or the other way around, you drag, you pull the ball and you hit cross court and way too cross, okay, because you open your chest on impact. Practice doing this motion, because what happens is that when you over twist is usually because you want to generate some extra pace, some extra power. In fact, I'm sure many of you have rallied, have a good rhythm, and then you want to find a little extra punch, and then you go whoop, and the ball way out, way long, way to the right, to the left, no control whatsoever. So instead of generating more power by over twisting, generate more power by just pulling the left and keep the body in place, okay? Instead of opening, okay?
It's a bit like the one-handed backhand we talked about, like staying steady, staying with your chest in one place, not letting your body move too much.
I'm gonna use this point as a reference as I'm doing my shadow swing here. Okay, I'm gonna hit the ball above this point right here. Okay, my chest is looking to there. I hit. Okay, my chest is still looking in that direction on impact, and when I finish, I continue in this area. In no moment am I showing my chest to the other side. That's going to help you be more precise. You're going to narrow down your direction of the ball. What I mean by that is if you're aiming to a certain spot, instead of having balls landing like, let's say, a radius of 2 or 3 meters to each side, you're going to narrow down that radius and hit more consistently, because you're keeping your body in place as you hit. Okay, so a great tip. Try it. It might not work the first time, might not work the second time. It might make your shots a little bit worse. I'm not saying just what I told you now, what I've been telling you for the whole video. It might take a few days, a bit down level, to then go way up your level. Give it a go, guys.
Yeah, and that's always the case with building new muscle memory, new repetitions. Like, you might have a downturn, and whenever you try something new in life, you know, it might feel weird at first, but stick with it and it will improve you. Yeah. Thanks, Coach Adri, for the bonus tip. Very important.